I'm gonna run around. She's running around the pond, he's swimming in the middle of the pond.
That's funny.
He just ran to the edge like, Toby's already in, you know, going crazy.
They let him do it, that's funny.
Okay, so flip your paper over there, and on the back, I want you to write really big.
Uh-oh.
You ready? P R.
You guys know where this is going right now?
Right. C.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
C.
This is complicated.
I C E. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the only way anything's gonna change. All right.
That's the sucky part about golf.
The only way it's gonna change. Try something new. Keep on trying it.
I like to practice though. I enjoy it. I mean, I get bored just hitting range balls, but if we go down and hit more than 30 balls, next thing you know, we're trying to hit big hooks or cuts or high or low. But I like to practice. I can go out there and work on my swing for a little bit and chip and putt. I like to practice. I enjoy it. So I think she does too, but she gets bored too just hitting range balls.
I get bored hitting range balls. So this week I started something different where I did a different drill every time I practiced, just to mix it up. Whether I felt like I needed the drill or not, but at least it stirred my brain up a little bit. So I wasn't just standing there hitting ball after ball after ball. So we're gonna run through this real quick, and if you have questions, stop us, because I abbreviated a bunch of stuff just so I could get it on there. So, I'm sorry, before I go there, last week when we got to play, really cool. The biggest thing I noticed, because we were chilly, we stopped rotating or turning, okay? And that's very common.
When it's cold out, the body wants to not move. So
When it's cold out, body stops moving or rotating because it's trying to like conserve energy. So we got really handsy and really armsy, basically just picking the club up, okay? So remember, when you're cold, really you gotta focus on this turn, and that might be your only swing thought, like I'm gonna turn, all right? Larry and I buy Thermacare heat wraps that you can wrap around your back. Excellent. They last through a whole round of golf.
Oh my God,
Actually, all
great.
day. But we put one around our low back. We stay really warm. Okay. So if you're gonna go brave the elements and play, or even if you're going to a football game, you know, whatever, they're so nice, so nice. I'm gonna do another sales pitch.
Where do you get those there?
Oh, Walgreens, Kroger, in the like pharmacy area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's by all the icy hot stuff.
Okay.
Yep. And they've got all kinds of different ones. We use the one that you wrap around your back, but they've got some for your neck and like strips you can put on. They're not as effective as just wrapping it around your back. Okay.
we use it to play golf in. We'll go out and we've played in golf tournaments. It's been this cold, and I have a carb can at the end of the propane heater, but we'll put those wraps around our back, and it's Velcro at the front, and wrap it around our back, and I'm telling you, it's unbelievable how warm it keeps your body. You can't believe it. They're amazing.
And then if you're a shopper, I love these pants because they're fleece lined, but I get them at Eddie Bauer, and they're like worth every dollar that you pay for them.
LL Bean too.
Yes, yes, I love them, and the wind doesn't go through them. It's so
Yeah,
nice.
I got the
So
fleece line too.
even if
I
you're
got these.
outside doing yard work or whatever, they're really nice. So. I'm done plugging other companies. All right. 90% of your swing flaws can be fixed through an efficient setup. So if you're out there and you're like, man, what did they say about all this stuff? Go back to setup first. Okay? So feet slightly wider than hips. So we're just trying to get our feet just a little wider than our hips. And then the big thing is we want our knees over our ankles. Okay?
Over
So
our feet, yeah.
we're going that way. All right? As opposed to
Yeah.
in like this. Okay? We want to get them out there. Because we're trying to get our bones to actually support us. Okay? If our muscles and tendons have to support us, that's when we get injured, and it makes us less efficient. Okay, so we want our skeleton and gravity to support us. Straight spine, did some extra reading last night on the spine. If our chin is to our chest like this, and we start waving our arms like this, we actually put more pressure on our shoulders. Okay, so that's where this nice straight spine comes into play, and chin up as best you can. I understand some people have bifocals, and looking through glasses can be different. So we want to try to keep our chin up as much as possible, but as soon as we go like this, we limit rotation, and we are actually putting more pressure on our shoulders. okay? So if we already have some shoulders that are a little bummed, we don't want to add to it. So straight as the spine as we can.
For any swing?
For every swing, yep. You got it. Our arms hang straight down from our shoulders. So when we do that, they're kind of hanging right over our toes this way. And then Larry, you want to explain your rule of thumb? Because we actually didn't talk about that in class, but I think it's a quick little easy one. Oh, you cleaned everything up.
I know.
That's what you get for cleaning.
So, and almost every one of our students go, well, I don't know how far to be from the golf ball. You ever hear you say that to yourself? You're either out here, you're in here. How close am I supposed to be? How far am I supposed to be? So a rule of thumb, which is no pun intended, you make a fist and you make a thumb. And that's how far 99% of the time we're in perfect position. Fist and a thumb. Put it right there against your crotch. Stick your thumb out. Rule of thumb. And we're almost in a perfect setup. So that tells you, kind of gives you an idea how far away you should be from the golf ball. So just put in your forward hand, set it down and go, okay, we'll make a face and put a thumb, and back the club up to that, and that's where you're supposed to be. They call it a rule of thumb. And it's very efficient. You feel like, oh my God, I'm close. But that's where we're supposed to be. The closer to the golf ball, the better. Some of the old-time golfers, one was Norman, he's not an old-time golfer, but Norman and Byron Nelson, those guys, says you can never be too close to the golf ball. Well, me and her kind of disagree with that a little bit.
You can fight your leg. If you get too close, your leg can
You can bump into it, but
if you tilt forward so your shoulders are over your toes and then your rear end goes
Right.
out past your ankles or
then
your
you have
heels,
space.
you should have space when you drop your arms. But if I don't have tilt, now I've just lost that space.
Right. So, but rule of thumb.
I'm sorry, when you're bent over or you're standing
So,
straight up?
I
Yeah, so
always
you-
bend over.
Yeah, go ahead and get your
Okay.
tilt.
And I just stick right here and go,
Okay.
there I am. And it's just an easy way to kind of check yourself out. And again, it's not perfect, but it's close. I mean, it's probably within that much. Where you wouldn't think that much is that much in golf, but that's a lot in golf. That's a lot in golf.
Grip, we want it in the fingers.
Playing flute.
Ball position, 90% of the time it's going to be forward of your center.
Left breast usually.
Okay.
It's really good.
For a right-handed golfer.
Yeah.
Alignment, shoulders square to hips and feet, and then use the line on your ball to help you line up for your tee shots and then for any putts, stuff like that. Okay. The goal of our swing motion, rotation of the upper body, supported by a stable lower body. Okay, so legs are going to be pretty quiet, and he's going to turn with his upper body and try to get his back to the target. And we were trying to explain last night to our kids, you know, it's like pulling a rubber band back. If you move, how you want to
So
put
in
it?
other words, we've all somewhere along the lines put a rubber band in our fingers and pulled it back. Usually when we're younger, but we've done it. Pillar, or hips, and you pull it back, it gets tighter, right? But if your hand or your fingers or your pillars move back with it, you've got no torque. So your legs is what's actually creating you to be able to create torque. So if my legs get wobbly, I've got no torque.
He just lost all that.
Right?
Power.
But if I keep my legs as quiet as I can torque against my lower body, which is speed and power. It's extremely hard to do if you're not flexible. I don't think there's a lot of strength that has, some has some strength, but I think it's more flexibility. It's hard because this, as we're noticing that this section, when we turn back, it wants to pull our body.
But even if you were to make a half swing motion, that's so much more efficient.
Yeah.
If you can stay quiet and just get to a half swing position and then go ahead and follow through, that's so much more efficient than making a big swing and moving your legs.
Yeah.
Alright, so some people feel bad, like I can only go here.
That's okay.
That's okay, you've got a lot of power right there.
So this
Compared to going all the way up here but moving.
So if you watch, look how long I can make my swing. And Melissa will kind of describe this. If I just swing my arms back, See how my body kind of shifted, and look how long the club is. I can see it in my eyes, right? But if I keep my hips and knees a little quiet on the way back and just turn my upper body, I can't get it any further back, my arms, but look how big of my turn made. So now I'm more powerful to be able to hit the golf ball. There's Phil Mickelson, who's a freak of nature, and when I say that, there's guys out there, and girls out there, they can take their thumb and hit their forearm. That's why the swing gets long and the flexibility. But that thumb, I don't know how far you guys can bend your thumb down. I can't bend mine all the way down to there. But John Daly and Phil Mickelson are those guys who have really long swings. They can touch their forearm. So that's going to allow the club to, look here. They can't get it back there, right? So that's how that all happens.
Alright, next note, think boat, rope, and steer. So, you can do this by practicing the belly button drill. So you take your club, stick it in your belly button, this is your boat, boat's going too fast, this is the rope, and then the skier is on the end. So the skier is always going to move faster than the boat.
Right. If the boat turns. So if the boat turns 90 degrees, the skier speeds up. Or the person on the inner tube, right? You guys somewhere along the lines have been on the inner tube and you felt that, right? So whenever the boat can do 80 miles an hour. He turns at 80 miles an hour. The skier actually goes to about 100 to catch back up to the center of the boat. It's just physics and leverage and all that silly stuff.
Chipping, loose hands, narrow stance. Reason we go narrow is sometimes the wider we get, the more chances we have of swaying during our chip shots, which is usually not a good thing. And then the hands and wrists hinge the club up. We gotta get that club head up when we're chipping, right, as opposed to low and inside.
We see this a lot when they chip.
Yeah.
So when we
wanna
do that,
get
look,
club
the
up.
club's behind us. Ball's here, am I gonna get to the golf ball? So that's when we see the knees kick or the shoulders pull. I'm gonna do that, or the hands try to get back to the golf ball. So the I'd rather see you take it outside and chip it inside.
So, but just for chipping, the ball's gonna be back a little bit though, right?
Depends on the lie.
Depends on the
Oh,
line.
okay.
Yep. Your basic chip shot is actually forward. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Up the inside of your forward heel. But if the ball's sitting down or we got some kind of funky lie, we might have to scoot it back.
This is the funny thing. The golf ball never really moves when we're hitting chip shots. The golf ball's right there. You can see it's right in the middle of my stance.
Yeah.
If I just move my right foot, it never changed positions, did it? I just move my left foot, the ball never changes positions. Starts from there, I'm gonna move my right foot, it looks like it's up in my stance. But it never really moved positions. Does that make sense? So we see this a lot where they're going, in which sometimes
Sometimes the shot calls for that.
1% of the time we're trying to hit a shot like that, 1% of the time. But it's extremely hard to control how far the ball is going to go off the club.
That's gonna
from
come
there,
out
right?
hot.
Yeah. And then we see a lot of this where they're set up this way to try to get it in the air. So if I swing back and go, look where I hit. Because I'm trying to think I'm going to hit it high, so they go. And I guarantee everybody in this room is top to chip shot or chunk to chip shot. That's the setup that's causing a lot of that. So the ball position never changes. It's just where you move your feet. Every chip shot I go to, everyone, and Melissa can attest to this, I'll take 3 clubs with me. Always take my 3. I take my lob wedge, my sand wedge, and my gap wedge. Always the wedges. And the first thing I do, the lie dictates a lot what I'm going to do. Almost every time the lie dictates every chip shot I hit. I look at it, and I set my feet completely together. Then I'm going, okay, I need to kind of move the ball back in my stance, so I'll go that way. I just move my feet just a little bit, and I just try to move from there. So I always start with the ball always in the middle of my stance, and the lie dictates what I'm going to do from there. Every time. Because it's an easy way to Whereas my feet, they're together. My feet are together. I chip with my feet together probably 99% of the time, unless I'm trying to hit a huge flop shot or something. So even when I'm set up to hit a driver, my feet are together. I put my feet apart. There I go. I start everything in my center of my stance. Then I make adjustments as I go through it.
Can you just review again as far as the ball lie, where it's gonna be, in terms of your stance?
Yeah, so if it's kind of neutral, like it's sitting up okay on the grass,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of grass behind it, it's probably just gonna be a little forward of center.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, not a problem, but if it's sitting down and there's a lot of grass between us, like the club and the golf ball.
We call that a
now,
cabbage lie.
Okay.
Depending on how much grass, we might play it back in our stance and go ahead and press our hands forward.
Shaft
angle.
angle forward.
Sometimes we actually will even open the face on
We
that
play
shot
like a bunker
and play
shot.
it like a bunker shot. So ball position's still forward, but the face is open and we're trying to get the club up quick and explode like we're hitting a bunker shot. Understanding the ball's really not gonna go anywhere because all that grass that's here. So it's not really gonna get away from us. But we stay in posture.
The hardest shot.
There's probably like 15 different chip shots we could show
Yeah.
you based on
Yeah.
the lie.
The hardest shot for the guys on TV, the girls on TV, Melissa and me, you guys, is you walk up to your golf ball and you're chipping towards Melissa and the grass is leaning dead against you. It is 100% guess, even for the guys and girls on TV. It's 100% guess. Now they probably hit 50 million more chip shots than you do, so they've created a little bit of feel, but it's 100% guess on what the ball's going to do out of there. They don't like it, and what's so funny, and I hate to say this because I played out there with all those guys, when they manicure the green for the PGA Tour, the greens are the same at every tournament on the PGA Tour. They're rolling between 11 and a 13. They never get them faster, they never get them slower, except for if you're in British or in Scotland. They're the same. So it's real easy to create good feel, right? And the grass, 95% of the time, when they cut it, it's cut towards the green or cut standing straight up. They never cut the rough going away from the green because they don't want to be embarrassed. So the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour they cut things for a reason. I could take all those tour players. They're still great players, but we take them to our golf course or any public golf course. Well, we cut the grass as fast as we can because we got time. We don't have the time, right? So you're going to have a lot of those against the grain shots. You're going to have those sparse areas where the ball's sitting down on a hard pan. Those guys, those girls, they don't like that stuff. They don't like it. It's hard. It's 100% guess. Now they've done it enough where they've created a little idea. It's a guess. So one of the other hardest shots they have on chipping, and if you watch the Hawaiian tournament in this January when they have it, the Tournament of Champions in Hawaii, they have this a lot. Green sets up here, the ball's sitting down here. It's Bermuda, it's wet, tight, and it's 95% of the time it's always into the grain where the grass is against you, but it's cut so tight you can't see it, but it's against the grain. They feel that when they chip. They chunk it, rolls right back down to the feet. They chunk it, rolls right back down to the feet. They'll putt a lot from there. They don't want to be embarrassed. It's hard. So you'll see them. They'll take a hybrid, or 3-wood, or 5-wood, or a putter, and they'll putt from that stuff. I can't. And Melissa's seen it. One time that I didn't listen to her, but I use my putter a lot in some nasty lies. I'll just play it back in my stance and just pop it because I got a better guess of watching the ball roll than I do trying to get it in the air sometimes out of the lie. So the lie dictates, I'm going to say 100% of how we're going to hit our chip shot. 100%.
Drivers. Swing them like your wedge. Club must hinge up when we hit a driver. I mean, every club needs to hinge, but especially with our driver, because I feel like with this longer club, we tend to make this huge move this way when we move off the golf ball. So that leads us to the rule of 27, or 17.
No, it's 27.
Are you sure?
17's putt.
Okay.
It's
Got
27.
it. All right. Like I already found one typo because I was moving fast. I'm like, no, that's the second one. Rule of 27. So when you get set up, there's 27 inches between here and here. When you take it back, 27. When you start back down at impact, 27. So with our driver, we have to hinge to keep that 27.
And
If
the other
we go
27,
this way,
right.
we're in trouble.
The other 27 from here to here. But when we start moving the club back from here, where the driver is, to our right foot is 27 inches. About real close. So once we get to our right hand at 27 inches, it goes up.
To go up.
And it's still 27 inches. And then we go back down, our hands are back to 27, they start releasing the club. Everything's ruled at 27. Now, it could be 26 depending on how long or short your arms are. They could vary, but it's the rule of 27. They're taking that based on a person this high, arms built on perfect stature, but it's a rule of 27. Is Dan inside?
Yeah, I believe yes. Pick a club you're confident in off the tee. So it doesn't have to be driver, it can be hybrid, it can be whatever you feel really good about. But if you don't feel good about driver or what's in your hand, you're gonna hit a crummy shot like 99% of the time.
Yep.
Hoping and wishing is not a game plan. Okay? Not a game plan. Putting. So you gotta decide, are you straight back and straight through, or are you working on a little bit of an arc? Okay? Eyes are inside the golf ball. We wanna try to putt with our forearms, not our shoulders. Okay? Putting comes from the forearms. And we wanna use the line on the ball for alignment. Okay? Club selection, our great little equation from last week. Club selection is yardage, landing area, so taking into account where you're trying to hit your golf ball. Is it firm, is it soft, is it uphill, downhill? Conditions, is it cold? Today it's cold, your golf ball is not gonna fly today. So when we go down on the range, don't expect like these huge bombing shots because it's not gonna happen. I like to say it's gonna happen, but it's so cold, the air is so dense that golf ball's not gonna fly like you want it to. Alright? Slope, so are we uphill, downhill, as far as our feet are concerned. Alright, that makes a difference. And you have to have belief in yourself to hit that shot. That's part of your club selection. So on one the other day, last week, it was what, a 103 shot or something like that, but we were calling it 115. And I said, you can either play, you can play at 120 if you like that shot better, or you can play at 110 if you like that shot better. If you don't like the number 115, get that out of your head and let's figure out, hey, can I hit it a little long or can I hit it a little shorter and be okay? Alright? So we all have yardages that we really
Right.
just don't like.
Everybody does, and on that 110 to 120 shot, when I get a yardage that doesn't fit my club selections, you know, they're just, it is pure luck if you have a perfect yardage.
You don't get your favorite yardage all the time. Like,
You're
very
lucky to get
rarely.
it one time around. The guys on tour, the girls on tour, they're lucky to get a perfect yardage one time around, if they're lucky. So it's always an adjustment, right? So how they make that adjustment, let's say the pin's in the front. The green sets up here, the pin's right in the front. You got all kinds of room in the back. So is that 110 the shot I want to hit, or I want to hit at 120? I'm going to take the trouble out of the way. I'm going to hit at 120 so I don't have to chip. Does that make sense? I'm going to give myself an opportunity to put my putter in my hand to do the right thing. So that we call that short shotting yourself. Oh, I hit at 110, it hits just a little short, rolls back down. Now I got this chip shot to an elevated green or however. That's all hard. It's pretty hard. That's called short shotting yourself. Next thing you know, you put yourself in a hard chipping risk. It's hard to do it. So sometimes it's called aggressive defensive play. I'm going to swing aggressive and I'm going to swing confident, but I'm going to make sure I got the right club in my hand so I don't have to chip. Right? So I as much as I caddied for her and she's caddied for me, and as much as I've played on TV all over the world, and she'll agree with me, and as much as I'm going to disagree with her to agree, the caddies are usually right about 85 to 90% of the time. As players, we can't hear. We get caught up. We can't hear. The emotions are in play. We can't hear. You can't do it. For all you husbands and wives, I guarantee you, she ain't going to take a lesson from you. Ain't going to do it. She's going to listen, but it's not going to stick because I'm out of there. I can't hear you. It happens all the time. So the emotions get into play. And we can count on our hand on both equations that I should have listened to her and she should have listened to me. It happens. It's the way it is. So you have to be able to put your emotions aside. Okay. What are you trying to tell me here? Okay, let's talk this over. Okay? And one of the greatest things I just saw yesterday on TV, which was so simple, which I know, they were talking about Annika Sorenstam. If you watch the LPGA, to me, she might have been the greatest golfer I've ever watched play golf. And she had two boxes. Her thinking box is back here. Her and her caddy were in that thinking box discussing the proper play. And she never pulled a club out of the bag until they agreed on what they were trying to do. She says it took me 24 seconds. 24 seconds. She's timed it out because that's how good she was, which you're supposed to do. Her and her caddy talked about that, the yardage, wind, elevation, lie, where we want to put the ball on the green. And then it took her another 20 seconds to pull the club, get her glove ready, and as soon as she snapped her glove, her mind was target. Target. She'd walk in, take a couple waggles, and away she went. But 95% of the stuff she talked about was in her thinking box. In her thinking box. How many times have you guys went out and played? You just grab a club. Well, it's 150. I'm just going to grab a club and just swing and go. Because you think you're playing slow. Then you never hit a really good shot. Then you're frustrated. So I tell all my students, never hit a shot until you're ready. Never hit a putt till you're ready. If you can two-putt every green, you're going to save time. If you hit the green in 2 or 3, you've saved time. Even though you've taken 40 seconds to actually think about what you're going to do, grab your club and about ready to hit it, you've actually saved time on the golf course. You've saved time. Because you've moved it forward, you got it on or around the green, and when you two-putt or less than two-putt, you save time. So that extra 40 seconds you're taking, Dave Pels, who's a guru, says, well, if you do it that way, you save 3 minutes a hole. If you're riding a golf cart, and you hit your shot and never put the club in the bag until you get in the cart, drive to your next shot, and then get the club and bag out. You'll save 17 minutes a round for 18 holes. He's figured it out. Hit your shot, get in the cart. Drive to your next shot because you got to get in your golf bag anyway. Put the club in and grab a club out. So you save 17 minutes. Right? I play with players all the time. They're back here digging around in their bag, taking their glove off, and going, let's just go, right? They're back there screwing around. Now, I'm impatient. I play fast. I'm impatient. But think about it. 17 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but how many times have you been on a golf course, there's somebody behind you pushing you, or you're like, what are they doing up there, right? Yeah. It happens to every one of us on a golf course. So if you're riding a golf cart, take a shot, just drive to the next shot, then change clubs, exchange clubs, right? 17 minutes for 18 holes. So, Annika Sorenstam, take your time in the thinking box. Take your time back there. Evaluate what you got to do. You'll find out you'll hit better golf shots, and you'll save time if you're worried about the pace of play. I mean, we complain about it every Monday in our events.
Well, we're doing a lot of work while the other person's hitting their shot.
Yeah, we do.
We might actually watch our ball, get our yardage, start thinking before our
Yeah.
clubs arrive on the golf cart.
Yeah, we're doing prep before we get to our golf ball. And a funny thing is, they always say never walk in front of somebody. Well, if you're here and I'm way over there, I'm walking to my ball and I'm getting my yardage. I'm preparing. I'm preparing what I'm going to do. We see that all the time. They're sitting in the cart talking. They drive one to the one over here, and they're still talking. And the ball's right over there, and they'll wait till he hits a shot, and he'll drive right over that cart. And they'll wait. Oh, how much time have I wasted? A bazillion, right? So we kind of giggle and laugh at that. I mean, there's so many ways to do that, but you actually save time if you get in the thinking box back here and think about what you're going to do, especially on putting. If you three-putt, you shots and time. think in your thinking box, and I really like that. I thought that was pretty cool that she did that, and I don't hit my shot until I'm ready.
Okay. And then today,
Wednesday.
yeah, it is Wednesday. Shot shaping. Okay, so when we go down on the range, we're gonna hit some balls to the left on purpose, to the right on purpose, and then try to hit them straight on purpose. Okay, so that has two factors. We've got club face. Alright, so at impact, is the face square? Is it closed? Is it open? So, is it square? Is it closed? Or is it open when I get to the golf ball? Okay? I just pulled this club because it's really easy to see what's going on with the face. And then we've got swing path. Alright, so if we've got a straight line here, excuse me.
That's why I set that ball there.
If we have a straight line, what happens if the path comes from inside back here? Alright, so if this is a straight line, what happens if the path comes this way? And then just the opposite, what happens if the path goes that way? Okay? So, the first one, which is what we see in a lot of golfers, is the club gets behind them real quick because they haven't turned, alright? So club gets in here, and so now on the downswing, they're coming from in here and swinging out that way. Alright, so for our right-handed golfers, this shot is going to start to the right. Okay, it's going to take off to the right. For our left-handed golfers, that shot's going to go the opposite direction. Okay, it'll go left. Alright, so if I'm coming from in here and my face is square, the ball's going to start right and kind of stay there. If the face is open when I get here from the inside, it's going to go right and right. The spin is going to be to the right as well. Okay? And then just the opposite, if the face happens to be closed, if I work really hard and shut down the face, it'll start to the right and work back to the left.
Yeah.
So you've heard some people say they hit a banana ball. It's that shot starts way out on one side and then it comes back to the other side.
And vice versa. So it's way to the left and comes back the other direction.
Okay. And then just the opposite. So you might actually take the club back inside, but you might actually start your downswing by throwing the club off your body, and then it works across your body this way. That ball for a right-handed golfer is going to start to the left. For a left-handed golfer, it's going to start to the right because of path. Okay, so path is my starting point. Path is how the ball takes off. If the face is square, it's just going to stay kind of left on that line. If the face is closed or shut down, it's going to go left and left. Alright? Or right and right, depending on which side you're standing on. And then just the opposite, if the face is open and I'm going this way, for a right-handed golfer, the ball is going to start left and move right. For a left-handed golfer, it's going to go right and then move back to the left. So you've got two factors. And the golf ball doesn't lie. So if your golf ball is going one direction or the other, and if it's starting in one direction and spinning more that way or spinning the opposite way, the ball's telling you what you're doing virtually. Your
If you
path
watch
is
it.
your path is how it starts. The spin on the ball, which is club face, is how it ends basically. Okay? So then how do we hit it straight? Path has to be straight for about 6 inches. Alright? And then club face has to be square at impact.
At impact.
Okay? Just at impact. So club face is actually going to start squaring itself, and then it's going to continue to shut down after impact.
Do that again, Will, to me, as you start coming, trying to keep face square. You see what happens here? Her arms quit moving so the face can catch up. If she continued to move her arms, where's the face? Staying open. So you do have to release the club or get it past your arms. See how the club face is passing her arms? So I see so many golfers swing so hard with their arms. Look at the face. It stays open. So you still have to release the club. The club head has to get past the hands a little bit. Does that make sense?
I know. It's
It takes less than a second to happen, so think about that. It only takes less than a second for all this stuff to happen.
The whole point is, like, if we're on the golf course and we've played 3 holes and our golf ball is going the same direction for those 3 holes, we're going to make adjustments
Yeah.
if we don't like what it's doing, if
Right.
we don't like it. But kind of like I said, if you're out there and you don't know what's going on and you're thinking about everything we talked about, go back to setup. And after you think you've worked on your setup, well, what's the ball still doing?
Yeah.
All right, well, it's either my path or my face angle or a combination of both. But you're in control of this. All right? The club doesn't swing you, you swing the club.
That's about,
Believe it or not.
that's probably about 75% of what we just talked about right there. Path and face angle is what causes the golf ball to go crooked. Now, there's other things that can cause the path to change, other things that can cause the face to stay open or closed, but 75% of the time, you are in charge of the path and the face. You are in charge of it. I got my hands on the steering wheel. I'm in charge of driving the car. This is my car. I'm in charge of it.
Could it also be caused by how you're gripping the club?
Yeah, grip affects it, but grip will actually affect your path as well and the club face.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could initially be in a bad position just because of grip. Yeah. Not so much grip at impact, but what it caused you to do in the first place. Yep. Cool. But then what's really cool is when you understand this, and there's a tree in the middle of the fairway. If you ever played at Arthur Hills Golf Course, he did Weatherington here locally. If you ever played Weatherington,
It used to be Weatherwax.
Four Bridges had a tree in the middle, but that wasn't Arthur Hills, was it?
No.
I
Weatherington,
can't stand
Weatherwax,
when they put
Weatherwax.
a tree in the middle of the fairway. I can't stand it. And there's always something else going on, like out of bounds on one side or water on the other. Arthur Hills sticks a tree in the middle of at least one fairway on every one of his golf courses. Now Weatherington cut theirs down. Shaker Run cut theirs down. That was right in the middle. Anyway, but you might be kind of behind that tree, and you might have to purposely move it around the tree. And now you just learned how to.
If you understand
If you
face angle
understand,
and
if you
path.
understand path and face angle, you just learned how to hit it around the tree. Good stuff.
I mean, it's true. Arthur Hills puts that's his signature. He puts a tree in the middle of the fairway on every hole, on every course he builds. There's a tree right there. Why do you do that for?
Never
That's my signature.
So now, does everyone have their cell phone with them?
Oh, guys, this is an easy drill.
Alright, so if you have, grab your cell phone. If you don't, you're going to pretend like you've got your cell phone. You can use your notes, actually.
This is a great
So
drill.
go ahead and
You wouldn't
stand
believe
up.
this drill. How you going?
So you got your phone in your pocket?
I do.
Alright, so you're going to get in your setup position. And your screen is... Jerry shot call.
Oh.
Your screen is basically facing your golf ball. And we're going to turn back to like halfway, and your screen should still be kind of looking at your golf ball. Okay. Okay. And then you're going to keep turning, and your screen should actually kind of face
The sky a little
the
bit.
sky a little bit.
Good.
And then we're going to drop the club back down.
It
With
should be-
this. And then an impact, screen's facing the golf ball. And then after impact, it's working behind you.
There you go. You've just released the club face and you kept the club face on path.
And
It's that simple.
And facing.
Yeah.
Alright, so get it set up in your dominant hand. And it's always, it's looking at the golf ball.
Look at the ball. Boom. Goes to the top.
And then
It's
we
looking at
keep
the sky.
turning, it's looking at the sky.
Good.
That arm is flexed.
Bend your
Relax,
elbow a little
bend
bit.
your elbows.
There you go. Bend
Your
your elbow.
27 inches is turned into
Bend
like
your
3
elbow.
feet.
Bend your elbow. There you go. Fold. There you go.
Good. Club drops. Then it starts facing the ball again. And then it goes behind you.
Behind you. You've made a perfect motion.
Pretty cool, huh?
The kids loved that last night. Oh my God! I have all kinds of reasons to tell my mom and dad I'm working on my swing.
And then I turn on the video and then it's like a GoPro, you know? Pretty cool. So, we like that idea. So now, we're going to go ahead and go down to the range. We're going to go down to the range and we're going to hit maybe 20, 25 golf balls. Some of the heaters are on and working. A couple of them need new switches, which is the problem. But you're gonna, the right-handed golfers, you're gonna purposely hit one to the right, to the left, and then you're gonna try to purposely hit one to the right, and then try to hit one straight. Lefties, you're gonna try to hit one right, then try to hit one left, and then try to hit one straight. Okay? And we're just gonna keep rotating through golf balls. Left, right, left, straight, however you wanna do it. Alright? And take bunches of practice swings. How does my path come from in here? And we're not looking for arcing, shaping shot like you see on TV.
The kids like this drill because we're giving them permission to hit it crooked.
Yeah, you have permission to hit it crooked. Hey, if it goes left but it's a low runner, who cares? You just hit it left.
You just
Like
hit it left.
you achieved it. And you'll find one direction or the other is probably easier for you. Okay? It might be easy for you to hit left or right. And then I think then your straight shots will be a little bit straighter. Alright, questions? Okay. Oh,
He
really?
does.
You do? You do?